guys, welcome back to the channel. Anon here. Alright, so we're playing solo leveling again. And yeah, hopefully the last guide has been quite helpful. I've been playing this game quite a lot for the last 2 weeks, I suppose. And it's still in the early access, so the only way to do it, if you want to install, you have to go to the Canada region or Thai region to install the app, or from taptap.io on the Android. On iOS you have to point your Apple Store account to Canada or Thai, and on the Netbumble launcher on PC, like what I'm using here, you have to VPN to Canada first to download, and after that you don't really need to do it. Okay, so we're account update, I suppose, and yeah, I'm not free to play anymore. And I think the free-to-play can get you up to 400 pulls or more, actually 800 if you count in total. So this is quite generous and really generous. So I've done a little bit more, I think since what do you call it, grabbing some stuff from the shops, it's around maybe 200 pulls or almost 250, I suppose. So not that big of a difference. If you're free to play and you're lucky, you will still get most of the things that you wanted anyway. So yeah, so there's that. Okay, so what have I found the most that now playing this game for 2 weeks, and this is kind of more kind of a later player guide, what to do next. So the first one is Jing Woo's stats. So a lot of confusion around these stats here. So what I found the most effective at the moment is to have 2-to-1 ratio for strength and agility. So agility first, which is giving you a crit hit rate and critical hit damage the most, and then you have the attack next, and then perception or precision next. So if you think about it, what is perception or precision, right? It's basically your minimum damage dealt to enemies increases. If you see in the stats here, it's 73.89%, right? Which means it's like out of 100% of your normal attack or basic attack damage, not critting, nothing, right? You can get minimum 73% up to 100%. So that's the randomizer, right? So the closer it is to 99%, I think 99% is the maximum, is the better, right? Because then it's guaranteed your basic damage is gonna hit quite high. However, what I found is if you build that a lot, even though it's 99%, but because your attack and your crit is lower, even though you do more of the attacks, you don't get the benefit of really getting a higher damage, which a lot of times you get that from your artifacts or from your build. For example, like this, I'm using the what's the name of this set? It's the armed set. Okay, so with this armed set, it says increase the user attack by 5% and then ignores 50% of target defense and attacks, right? So this is just standard attack. But there's another one that basically allow you to kind of build crit, right? So for example is where's this one, the crit one, right? So you can actually build crit and base crit on this one, but your actually the other side of the artifact, your accessories artifacts, they have like a lot of like things that can be built with crit. If the unit can crit, this is what you want. So let's say for example here, when landing a crit hit, has a 25% chance to increase attack by 0.8%, stacking up to 100 times, which in the longer play, this is basically increasing quite a lot, right? So if you have like 50 stacks, that's 40%. And not only that, then the effect is here is even higher. So you can get up to, let's say if it's maximum 100 times, right, 160% of attack. So this will be really handy. So this business class is handy, and the other one, I think, where is it? There's another crit. Yeah, this one here, increase attack. You know, when landing a critical hit up to 4 instances, which is, you know, 20% max, right? So this is okay for short kind of fights, but this is best for like long and prolonged fights, and most of them are like 3 minutes fights. At least you can get up to 50%. So what I found is that even if your base, why did I do that? Even though if your precision is high, but the problem is you're not critting, so then you don't get that 100% or 50% above of all of your attacks, right? So that's why I think it's still similar to a lot of different games. At the end of the day, in the beginning, maybe perception is good, right? But when you reach the end game, where you have to challenge higher content than your own level, this is important. This crit hit rate, crit hit damage becomes really important, and precision later, right? So attack is also quite important because you want to dish out that really high damage. Okay, so that's what I found. So I've tested everything. I've tested different using the benchmark. I was using the Cerberus trial in the game modes here in the Battlefield of Trial of Time, this Cerberus one, right? So I was testing using this. How much damage did I dish out when I crit? If I'm using this crit and attack build, I can dish out a million ultimate damage. But with everything else I've tried, like precision attack and crit second, or precision and crit and so on, this build, it has the highest damage. So test it yourself if you want to. I've spent a lot of gold to actually test this, and this is what I found best for endgame at the moment. And also it just depends on your equipments, right? Because if I have a duplicate equipment, right, like this one is left 1 star, I can get precision here. So if I'm wearing, instead of wearing the sword here, which is not duped, even like the normal one here, like the normal ones, right, you have those. And I was testing with this kind of R. If I maximize plus 10, right, it's lower than SR, of course, right? But if it's maximum SR, but if I continue adding more, I think it can get up to 4000 precision. So for example, if I just get one of this SR, for example, if I'm using this, right, my precision slowly come up again. See, 80% now. So you can actually get it from, you know, weapon dupes, which most likely in the long run you will get enough precision anyway. So you don't really need to spec or build it for that. In the beginning maybe, but since you can get those, and you can probably just use SR weapons, right, you get those. So but there's none of this that will give you crit. See, you see that there's none of this giving crit. This plum will give a crit here, stacking crits, but nothing else will. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, right? Oh, this one does, right? Increase again 25% using that. So if I want to go, you know, full on crit build, what I would do is I would do this full on like crit. Okay, super crit build. Okay, it doesn't show here, but my crit will be maxed by now in the passive of this, because this is a passive, right? If the user current HP is below 70%, then this is applied, right? But hey, you know, if you're playing like a monster, you're probably not gonna getting damage anyway, so it's a little bit here and there. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second one is artifacts. So a lot of guide out there already for artifacts, and yeah, what I found useful, it just depends on your playstyle and build. So Baek Yeon Woo at the moment is my highest power, because he's just got the sets that is good for him. So I'm using him to break, right? And just by rolls, I suppose he got all of this gold equipment that is good for his stats, which is defense, right? But I'm using him to break. I'm using him, you know, because there are like enemies in the dungeons, tier 6, tier 7 dungeons that needs to be broken, right? So this set is good for him because at the end of the day, the damage will be rotated, right? So that's why I'm using that, and I'm using this. This is to help him crit, right? Because if you look at this, you have the recommended. So the first thing first is defense, and then light damage and critical hit rate. So that's what I'm using, right? Now for this one, I like her ultimate because it hurts a lot.
Okay,
So I'm
no
using
mistakes. Check,
ultimate
check.
skill cooldown. So this set is pretty good as well. Okay, so which is the one hit kill set. This one is the solid analysis set. And for Emma, I'm also using solid analysis set because it's also the breaker, right? These two are my breaker units, but also these are quite a big damage anyway already with the break set, so why not, right? Okay. Well, this one I'm still using this Holy's what do you call it, noble sacrifice set, because he does quite a lot of this because he's a buffer and healer, right? So I want him to be a bit tranky, and he actually has I suppose a passive or inbuilt passive already that's really gaining a lot of ultimate and things like that very fast. Okay, well, this one here, the set is to I'm just wearing 2x2, right? Ideally I want to change it to 4 set, but at the moment I'll just get what I can, right? So he has the attacking enemies, increased damage dealt, which is not really perfect for him. Ideally it's something else, which is probably similar to this, well, not that one, where is it? Yeah, probably to this one, where you have more kind of cooldown reduction for basic skills and so on, so that he can use his heals a lot and his area AoE, but he's a pretty slow attacker. So at the end of the day, he's just going to be there to go in and go out from the battle. So what I found, this is okay, not great, right? I want to maybe change it to the same set as this one here, which is I think one of the best set in this game, which is to increase power gauge acquisition so that you can do ulti multiple times, right? So the thing though, this is also quite capped in my opinion, because at the end of the day, in 3 minutes you mostly can only do 2 ultimates, especially with Jing Woo and all of the other hunters. But some of these hunters actually they can do more and quicker, so these are handy for them, especially this ultimate gauge as well. It's handy for, sorry, not that one, this one here. It's handy for them because they can do faster ultimates than Jing Woo. Okay, so this is helpful. This set is also helpful to increase that ultimate gauge, right? So vary it, right, depending on their role. If they are DPS, I highly recommend this one. Well, this one I don't, you know, this is kind of like a third best set, I suppose, which is the arm set, which is increasing user attack. So this is pretty much just for your pure DPS player that can dish quite a high damage. This is your only one, because if you have him and have, like, let's say Emma, and have, like, you know, this particular set here, so their gauge will be fast anyway already, so they can fulfill their roles. So it really depends on their role, guys, and have a look at what they do. Okay, Cho Jong In is 100% DPS, pure DPS, so just get him as high attack as possible. So I don't have the best set for him. I haven't really built him 100% yet, because most of the dungeons I don't really use him, rightly or wrongly. It's weird, but you know, he's the rate up banner character, but in terms of utility for dungeons, he's not great. To be honest, only like 1-2 dungeons that he will be great in. But not all. So that you are aware, especially dungeons when you need to break the boss. Forget it, you know, because the issue is there are 3 more dungeons that have breaks that would need these 3 characters, right? Or 2 and 1 of the healer. So you can't really slot him anywhere other than like events or dungeon events that actually needing high DPS. So yeah, and fire DPS as well. So not many, unfortunately, yet. So I don't know, maybe in the future there will be more, I don't know. Okay, so those are the sets that I suppose, okay, just to recap, the sets that are worth it, right? That's good that you want to. The first one, get this set, Destroyer set, for your hunters, is pretty good. Secondly, get this one, which is ultimate skill, because it will help your hunters to do ultimate very fast. The third ones that I would recommend, actually use the breaker set for your breakers, right? Because it can really dish out quick break and high damage after it's broken, right? And then the fourth set is this arm set for your pure DPS guys. Okay, now as for the accessories, get the beast set. The beast set is pretty good. This one here, beast. Okay, so crit hit build, you know, any of them that can crit, give them this. The second one is the where is this one? This one is skill cooldown, which is good for your supports. Okay, yeah, he's not really wearing the correct one here, but at the moment that's all I've got for the fire damage, but I might swap it today, we'll see. And the next one, this one here. So sorry, so the first one is the beast set. Where is the beast set? This beast set, which is good, especially for Jing Woo as well. The second set that I think is pretty good is this one here, which is again for your DPS, stacking their crit hit, okay, and increasing their attack. The third set that is pretty good is this one for your supports, for skill cooldown. As you can see, green, maybe green for support, red for attack, right? And then this one is kind of like for your I don't know, sub DPS perhaps, right? And the other one that is pretty good is the skeleton set, which is, you know, it can increase damage here. Damage still increase, and you know, 30% when you're just slightly under 70% when you're wearing the full set. Okay, this aquamarine neck is pretty good also if you want to do quick taggings, right? So meaning it's like this alpha is quite handy on the breaker crew, okay, because you're quickly swapping. You break, you know, quickly swap, do DPS, and swap again, do DPS, and then the shield come back up, you know, you break again, and so on. So this is pretty good for that. Okay, so the duration is quite long as well. Okay, you know, when tagging out, increase the attack of you and your team members by 12%. That's high. Okay, which this becomes 28% in 15 seconds. This is really good for, I think it's good, very good for this guy actually, because you go in, you do your heal, and you do your support buff, and then switch straight into the DPS. So that's what I'm gonna move around today. Today is like my artifact cleaning time. But yeah, that's how we would do it. So that's what I would do. Okay, any other set that's pretty good? Not really. Like the other ones are very situational. Behemoth set, for example, it's situational where you have if you have HP is less. At the moment there's no immortal kind of play. Yeah, and what's the other one? There's another one. There's one more. No, that's pretty much it. Okay, so yeah, so that's artifacts. The next one, tips for game modes. Okay, so story, do as fast and as high as you can. Gates. Alright, so gates, try and always get the S rank. So the S rank actually have potential to give a, instead of just this on the red one. So if you find a red special gate, you can actually get a yellow drop. You click here, and then you'll see you can get a yellow drop from red gates, because red gates are the hardest ones. All right. And these are always try and get your S rank gates. If you're desperate, you can do lower, but like this B rank is still quite alright. Okay. The next one. Okay, before other game modes, so let's go to Army of Shadows. So I've got all 4 now because I put that what do you call it? Jing Woo job change pack, which gave me one, and then if you continue with the story, you can actually unlock 3 at least by now. If you're level 50, most likely you already unlocked 3 minimum, and yeah, 4 if you buy the pack. Now in this one, what is the most useful? For some reason, I know even though Blades doesn't really have a how do you call it, like a good skills that does something, right? Like a passive or stun or something like that. He's actually pretty good to buff your whole crew during fights somehow, right? Weird enough, even though it says attack increased by 3%, I'm not sure if it's attack or it's damage, because if I'm using him as the principal supporter, principal shadow, you know, my team does good damage compared to, let's say, Igris, who gives crit rate only 4%. But if you need to tank and so on, you can get what's his name? What's his name? I forgot his name. Where's the name? Anyway, Tank, right? Tank, sorry, his name is Tank, right? So Tank is good for increasing defense. So if you have a lot of tank who has defenders, then you know he can boost their damage. And the other one is Iron for HP. After Igris, I would recommend you guys to either take Iron or Tank, right? And this one is more for end game, kind of like high damage materials, but for the day-to-day grind, I think these 2 are pretty good. And especially Tank, it can stun, right? So which is good. The last attack in the combo hit stun the target, so making sure that when you do that, the boss doesn't do an AoE damage or something, which will not guarantee the stuns. So situational again. All right, the other modes here. Okay, so always do your power of destruction, because this is daily reset. At the moment, everybody's cheesing it using the this, where is the weapon? This weapon here, because this weapon actually does a bleed damage. So have a look at that if it's not patched yet. So you should get your like 21, you know, minimum, or 20 or 15 million damage. You can only get up to 6 million, is fine, because then, you know, if you do 6 million, you get the final reward anyway. But if you want to go into the rankings, use that weapon, right? The bleed weapon. Encore mission, do as high as you can. I'll show you the team. So for Arachnid, got to tier 7 recently today. If you get to this tier and then you complete it 3 out of 3, you can actually get a buff here from the battle mission. Okay, you can get a buff. You can actually auto this after you've done it, so it's good for farming. Okay, and this one I got Igris actually at tier 8. I don't know why, but with the crit and attack build that I have, this becomes quite easy actually. So even though it's 178 and I'm only at 160k perhaps, I still can manage to beat him. 165, right? But I'm not using that. But if I'm using that, maybe. But I need the healer. Okay, so that's that. Teams for Igris and so on. So Igris, I use this team. Okay, so because she can give me a shield, she will give me a shield. She helps with break and damage. and he's giving me sustain. Okay, so Byung-gu for sustain, Min for sustain, Emma for damage and break, and Xiu Jiwoo for damage and break as well. You can actually replace one of these two with Taegyu, Lim Taegyu, if you got him built, so that's quite important too. Okay, and the skill that I'm using break skills. Okay, so I'm using these two. So I'm using this one here, which is multi-strike, but if you get the dark one, is great because it gives you invincibility when you're using it. So you know how Igris, have those kind of like attacks that sometimes you have to QTE as that you have to iframe it as good as you can, right? This one kind of help as you're hitting him, even though he's attacking you, you're invincible anyway, so that's good. And the other one is this one, which is also dark. I'm using eruption here, Death's Dance eruption, which is this one, which is deals a break heavy damage, so you can break him in like 3 hits, one of E1, one of E2, and then another E1, and he's already broken with the help of your 2 supporters. Okay, and if you have these 2 weapons, that's pretty handy too. As for the Cerberus, you can use these 2 skills. Cerberus, you can use the double slash, which is good and it stays there for quite a while, or any other ones that is a high damage for you. And the other one will be either you can still carry whatever highest skill that you have, because the damage is quite high, but it doesn't need break. So the second one, I'm using this one, which is the good thing about this one. Actually I need to use this one. This one can actually freeze for 2 seconds. Okay, so that particular skill, wait a minute, put it wrongly. Yeah, so skill 1 is that one, skill 2 is this one that can freeze. So this one is pretty good and can froze the enemy. So that one is good for Cerberus. Okay, so one is, I do it into these sets. So the second one I use the break set, and the first one I use the damage set without having to worry about breaking. Okay, now in terms of the theme for Cerberus, I call it the, where's the Cerberus theme? It's supposed to be here, but they're not here. Weird. That's odd. If I go to Cerberus, then it will give it to me. But for Cerberus, okay, I'll just create one. I think this one. So for Cerberus, I'm actually using something like this. No, not you. So Cerberus, I'm actually, if you're confident, you don't need to use him. I use this.
Here I am.
I'll make this a clean.
That's what I'm using for Cerberus. Okay. So let me just call this Cerberus. Okay. That's Cerberus. Okay. And yeah, the shadow just depends on your team that you're using. Okay. Because Cerberus doesn't have break, don't really need break, you need high damage, but these are, Cerberus has fire and water, so those are still the best ones. For Lycan, Cerberus is actually, actually have to have water. Sorry, let me just change that again. So for Cerberus, I confused it with Lycan. So for Cerberus, this one here, you use not those two. Oh. For Cerberus, you actually use this guy, that guy, that girl, and this. This is Cerberus. Okay, just breaking basically, because Cerberus doesn't have Sun Jing Woo, so you have to break using these two, and you know, he helps you sustain. Potentially you can use 2 water, the other water would be this girl here,
Not
which
bad.
is pretty good for breaking, like really fast attack and really good for breaking. That's why I put her quite high here, because I was using and testing that. But now this I found a lot more suitable because they are my highest damager and the artifacts are built. Okay, so the next one I think is Lichen, right? So Lichen here, Lichen. I need to try tier 8, but maybe I want to do tier 7 if I can do it within 90 seconds. It'd be good because they're quite tanky. That's the problem, and they run around a lot. So yeah, for Lichen, I'm using this theme here. No sustain, just jump around, making sure I don't get hit. It's fine. All right. Potentially you can replace one of them with Min Byung-gu to just give you the sustain and the attack buff. That's Lichen, and the last one is the Arachnid. So for Arachnid, this one here, I would recommend Arachnid. It's okay. It just doesn't have it here, but let me just change this guy. So for Arachnid I'm using.
I won't make a mistake.
I'll take the
I
lead.
won't make a mistake.
I'm using
Here
this. This is my Arachnid team because Arachnid has light, what do you call it, weakness. So I'm using these two. The key is to try and break just close when before it's going up. Just don't break it, but reduce the break. And when it goes up for HP, leave it, and then just use Min Byung-gu to run around. And then the moment it comes down, just swap the QTE to what's his name, Yonho, break Yonho, break it, alt, and so on and so forth, right? I think you get the gist after the after a few fights. All right, so that's that for the game modes. That's pretty much it for those two. Yeah, so that's what I found, guys, after playing for a while. Just some tips. Hunters who to build. Currently, these are my most 3 used. These 4 are just my most used units, as you can see in all of the Encore missions, in all of instant dungeons. As you can see, my Encore is now tier 7, and both of them, so sorry, tier 6 for Cerberus and tier 7 for Arachnid, and for this one tier 8 for Igris and tier 7 for Lichen. Okay, it's just damage race at the moment, so until I can manage that, I won't be able to win this one because it's 178k. Yeah, but that kind of is great to give you a lot of artifacts. The cool artifacts, right? Oh yeah, for artifacts roll what you need to keep and what you need to throw away. So to keep, for helmets are the percentage stuff. So percentage attack, percentage defense, percentage HP. Those are the best rolls. Okay, those are the best rolls you want to get. When it has healing given increase, this is the one that you need to be careful about. Even though that's why I haven't put this anywhere. Even though they're good, unless they give us like a reroll for substats, I ain't gonna use it yet, and I don't want to spend gold to build this because gold is quite scarce at the moment. And if you got that healing given increase, there's no healer at the moment. It's dependent on attack, only on HP. So no, and this is a break set as well. So this is like, even though it's great, but all the breakers are currently HP and defense, no attack, and none of them are healing. So even though this looks good, but this is actually bad rolls for this helmet. Okay, so for this one is good. Look at this one. This is quite a great one here. So because it's all attack and all of these are attack, right? Except for additional HP, everything else is kind of attack. Additional attack here is quite okay, but it's not great. So for him as well, this is not a great role, honestly, but you know, it's something that I've got and I need to try and increase his damage, so I'm using that. For this one now, this one is pretty good, where you have defense percentage, right? But this attack roll is not really useful here because, well, he scale up based on defense. There's good HP here just to give him sustain, but this is unnecessary, so this is kind of meh kind of roll, right? This one is crit hit, so Emma can actually use this, for example, right? But Emma at the moment I'm using a breaker set for her, so not great, and especially there's attack. So the roll is always varied, just really depends. Yeah, it's hard to find like a really good, you know, godly roll. So I guess at the end of the day, that's the final end game, right? So this one is pretty good, right? But and again, when it's HP and attack, it's just not great. If HP and HP, then that would be a perfect roll. Okay, so for body, there's always never gonna be a percentage here. It's always gonna be additional defense for everything. So just build as good as you can with your particular sets. For hands here, or gloves, right? So there's no percentage as well, only flats. So this one, of course, is as good as you can. I wish this, instead of defense, I wish this was like a, you know, additional attack or damage penetration. That would be perfect, right? But this is pretty good. But yeah, like there's no really great thing here. Now this one, the shoes are quite important, or boots. You know, you can use crit hit damage for critting teams, right? Defense penetration is also pretty good, but again, the best one would be the percentage rolls like this one, right? You have a percentage HP, and you can also have a healing given, I think, HP and healing given, so, and defense. Yeah, so boots are actually essential for all of your support / tanks. Boots are the perfect role for them. Okay, so like try and find ones that have pretty good role, like with, you know, like healing given. But if it's a heal set like this one, it's not bad. Not heal set, but like a HP set like this is not bad, but it's not great, because, you know, the more you have HP, the more the healing increases. So at the moment, like if you have this, for example, right, as you can see, the HP is 4% here, so it's pretty alright. So you can actually get, but it's not the great roll here, right? As you can see, it's not a great roll, right? Compared to, right, you know, you get an HP roll here, you know. Yeah, so you can see it's only like 2% maybe. So yeah, HP or defense roll are still the best for boots. Alternatively, for crit and for your attackers, you can give them crit hit or defense penetration, you know, especially for attackers. Okay, for tankers and support, you can give them the HP and defense percentage. The other ones, necklaces and things like that. At the additional HP is always necklaces. For additional MP is always earrings. Wait a minute, there's another one. Bracelet. Bracelet here is always elemental damage. And the ring. So the ring is important. The ring has, again, percentage rolls. For the percentage rolls will be the best. Yeah, you can see, because the other ones are just additional HP and defense. Not great. Yeah, because you can see. But when it's percentage, keep them. I would lock them actually. Yeah, percentage. So always lock the percentage. Okay. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. It's pretty long video again. Sorry. I'll try and put a what do you call it, shortcuts in the description. But yeah, that's solo leveling. I'm still really enjoying to play this game. It's like I can't put it down because it's the combination between like character progression or account progression and kind of, I guess, gacha, a bit of a luck involved, but a lot of skills needed to play the game, which is, you know, like dodging, you know, and understanding build and so on. So it's pretty good, still pretty interesting. Okay, yeah, so I'll see you in the next solo leveling video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye now.